So it's a quick review on my loss today before I press replay. There's the trade. So what was I looking at? Prices making higher highs, higher lows. So my expectation this morning was that let's say on the bigger time frame, we're going to move back to this H4 gap. There's an H1 gap there as well, and it also coincides with being the EQ of this last move up, which I think is more or less here. I started just before open of a London session, and I was looking at the M5. I marked out several things. I'll just press play for a bit. Yeah, so we had quite a manipulative like move up to get liquidity. It did not take the high, so it was generating liquidity here. It violently moved back, never looked back on this 5-minute IFVG, dropped back to this 5-minute fair value gap, and then also just moved back. It did not take the low here. I think Asia low is here. And it started chopping around. And normally when it starts chopping around and ES is doing the same, because it was doing the same over here, then you can expect a move in the opposite direction. The question is then, how far will it go? I made, I think, a tiny mistake because I was mostly looking at this 5-minute fair value gap to act now as resistance. I was looking at a move back to equilibrium, which was here, which it tagged, which for me then opened the idea for a maybe lower time frame manipulation here and then move back down. As I was seeing, ES was already moving quite strongly in an upwards direction, while NQ was lagging a bit. So my thinking was, okay, I'll wait to see how price interacts with this 5-minute fair value gap, because what could happen is that it tags these high or sweeps these this high or this level and then closes back down at 5 minutes, and then for me it would be an interesting level to short. So I was waiting to see what price was doing, and price was indeed just showing strong momentum to the upside. And now it was printing a bearish S&T. You could see that price was actually creating a higher high, taking out the Asia high, while NQ was still lagging bigly. And I think I made some mistakes here. So in hindsight, you have this 5-minute inverse fair value gap. Was it an inverse fair value? Yeah, it turned inverse. But on the 5-minute, this was actually a very nice level. This was a fair value gap, but this also showed that there was a change in the state, a level here. So there was a level here, and it more or less faked out, and then it closed again, and then it actually, this was a good telltale sign of a reversal in price, so that a move up was more likely. Even though price was moving here, my focus was still on trading short. And I think that's quite a wrong read on bias. I marked out and pulled this 5-minute inverse fair value gap to see if we could hold here for resistance, while price was indeed confirming the bearish S&T. Price was chopping a bit between these two levels, and still my bias was quite short, pretty much short. And even though it makes some sense because this S&T is quite obvious, I think I did not really pay attention to the fact that now, especially now, if you look at this level, and you see that, take into account that this would be a change in the state. We actually have a perfect retest to move upwards again. So the probability of price moving higher is actually a greater possibility than price here to find resistance on an M1 fair value gap, while ES was actually bouncing off of this M5 level, and maybe even pushing higher. So this was definitely a wrong read from my side, because I was just too fixed on that, on a move down, and I was just pushing my setup. So what was my idea? Okay, so I have a 1 minute fair value gap, price is supporting, there is a wick. This for me was showing some weakness. Price closed below. And I don't know why, but I missed this part, because this was actually an interesting part to do take the short, but then not take it too aggressively. So then my stop would be up here, and then maybe target this level. That would be good for almost a 2-hour trade. And then probably I would have stopped out more or less at break even. Still counter trend, but makes some sense to have a move, maybe even back to equilibrium. I don't know. Yeah. So NQ actually tagged that move to equilibrium, also based on this low. Yes, just barely tapped it. So again, short made no sense, lower probability. But I was pushing this trade, so I said, okay, when price moves back into this M1 FVG, I'm going to put my stop, I think, I'm not sure, here, I think. I was too focused, so I didn't want to place it here, but I said, okay, I'm going to place it here. Okay, then what did price do? Well, price just had no hesitation to move against me. So there was no opportunity to even get to a point, because I was side price moving up and I was thinking, why did I do this? So again, price started to moving upwards. ES was showing increased momentum, but what I also saw, and that actually then it shows that you need to be, again, patient and wait. So now actually there was a new high for ES, but this move up was absolutely less impressive compared to this this move of NQ. And there was a new, I think, 5-minute level created. Yeah, there was a new 5-minute level created here. I'll just mark it out as such. And then since it was inside, I just moved this one away. So this actually, I'll remove this, was just a stupid loss. Much to learn. I was actually just paying attention, but I was off the charts because I was feeling out of touch with the market, which I think is a good thing then not to do. So there was a big drop on the M5. Price was already going below this, while I think NQ, ES was already way below this. So I was just paying attention, because this is actually the move and the bearish SMT that you would like to see before the final move down. So this is actually a part where you can say, hey, this looks like market maker buy side, market maker sell side. But I was just way too early to execute, which again shows to me that you have price as a level, or at least you have price as a factor in the trade, and time is also one. So this was a good entry on the 5-minute, and then you can either just place it. Oh, that was my lesson for now. Be patient. You can trade it, but then trade the 5-minute and either place it here or there, and then just target at least this wick. Then of course this would be a better RR. But if you have conviction in the setup, because this is all generated liquidity, it's supposed to get it anyway, and ES did its thing, so there's no need for NQ to also make that same move. So when the move below this M5 was there, retest, fair value gap, short here and then just maybe for the first part of the contracts and then leave a runner, because price action here was beautiful, creating gaps and then just being able to fill again on the gap. Maybe even on the 1 minute it's even better. Yeah, you have good gaps here, right? I see no SMTs. No SMTs, but still just clean PA all the way back. Good lesson for me.